years of not seeing Donald Trump's tax returns, there is a clear sign, a movement by Congress to potentially release Donald Trump's tax returns or a summary of the returns to the public. Now, what just happened was a vote along straight party lines. Republicans all voting against a motion to submit this report for the record. Democrats all voting in favor of it. Democrats still in the majority for another couple of weeks, going down along party lines. 24-16 was the vote. They submitted the report to the House on Trump's tax information. Now, what exactly does that mean? It is still unclear at this moment. It could be, as you said, a summary of those years of tax returns, those 6 years, personal tax returns, some business tax returns, what the committee has found. Perhaps will provide significant detail about all of that. Perhaps it'll be more of a top line information, or perhaps it could include some of those raw materials, some of the actual returns themselves. Will that be part of the record? Those are still questions we will have to sort out when we do talk to these members as they leave this meeting. But they have been behind closed doors for hours trying to decide how to move forward. Republicans furiously battling any efforts to release these tax returns. Democrats insisting that they must be held public. They had pushed to release this, suggesting there need to be some changes to the legislative process for how presidential tax returns are dealt with here. So is that part of the proposal as well? Still remains to be seen. But this vote essentially allows them to move forward in publicly releasing Donald Trump's tax returns. Some of that financial private information sounds like will be redacted by the committee, but we should certainly learn a significant amount more about Donald Trump's personal financial situation, his business financial situation, other companies that he has been involved with, assuming this becomes public. And it still remains unclear, Aaron, when this will become public. It could be soon. It could take days. But Democrats don't have many days left in power and moving here in their final days to release Donald Trump's tax returns, which he's kept from the public for many years.
Right. And I know, from talking to members of the committee, Congressman Lloyd Doggett has been very clear, right, that they've been pushed into this essentially, right? In a perfect world, they would have gotten them and gone through them and been able to evaluate, as they said, whether his business and financial dealings had any impact on his actions as president. But because this is happening just days before they lose power, they don't have time to go through it all. Because they don't have time to go through it all, they were put in this position of putting it out publicly. Can I just ask, though, Manu, it seems to me unusual, and I know we've never been in a situation exactly like this with presidential tax returns, but I mean just in terms of a committee vote, that it is unclear still at this moment exactly what they voted for, whether it's a summary yet to be written or how to be put together, we don't know, or whether it is, in fact, all the tax returns as well as frankly, it would probably be thousands of pages of backup information that goes with them.
Yeah, because the section of the tax law that governs the release of this information, in which Richard Neal, the chairman of the committee, used to obtain the tax returns, has strict rules on secrecy, which is why they have been very cagey about explaining whether or not they have the returns. They actually refused to confirm for some time that they actually had the returns, even though we have reported that they did have the returns in the aftermath of the court victory that the Democrats won, and then they turned over those returns to the Treasury Department. Treasury Department sent those returns over to Capitol Hill. All that has been a very secretive process, and that's why this has been behind closed doors for all day, all afternoon, and why we don't really know much about exactly what they plan to release in public, but taking an affirmative step to release in public. That's the vote we just saw, so we should hopefully learn here in a matter of hours, if not sooner, what exactly they plan to release.
All right, Manu, thank you very much. And hopefully we'll get some more information in a moment, because I mentioned Congressman Lloyd Doggett, and he is going to be with me in just a moment. He was in those meetings for the entire afternoon. He just voted, making his way to the camera now. In the meantime, Ryan Goodman is with me now, of course, co-editor-in-chief of Just Security, former special counsel with the Defense Department, and Marty Shield, former supervisory special agent for IRS criminal investigations. Thanks very much to both of you. Marty, can I just ask you, in your capacity as special agent for IRS criminal investigations, how significant is it that we are about to see all of, or some sort of executive summary of, and I'm hopefully going to get more information for us on that in just a moment, that we're going to see this for the former president for those years 2015 through 2020?
I think, Aaron, first of all, thanks for having me on, but I think it's a stunning development, and I'm so pleased that Congress is being so careful in maintaining the confidentiality of Mr. Trump's Social Security number. IRS takes the number one priority is to maintain the confidentiality of tax returns, and they've done a fantastic job over the years of doing that. And I think everybody can take pride in that. But let's face it, Mr. Trump has been quite a financial wizard, or at least so he claims. Let's see if those tax returns reflect his business wizardry. I suspect you're going to see massive losses on his corporate returns, which will then, some of which will be carried over to his personal returns. And so then the question raised, how can someone who's reporting massive multi-million-dollar business losses year after year maintain a luxurious lifestyle like Mr. Trump and pay no taxes? I think we're going to see he's paying next to nothing, but I don't want to point a finger at him until we see just how he handled his tax returns, or how his accountants handled those tax returns. And when looking at the tax returns, we always want a frame of reference. What we would really like to see the books and records that support the tax return, but we'd also like to see financial statements submitted to the banks for loan applications, and our assets and liabilities on those statements commensurate with what is on his tax returns.
So Ryan,
that's what I believe.
yeah. So Ryan, do you think when we look at these, knowing, and let's just be clear, Trump has great accountants, okay, and things are done in. It's not going to be just like, oh my gosh, look at this investment in blank. It's not going to be that simple, most likely. What do you think we're going to be able to figure out in terms of conflicts of interest? Marty's raising the important point. One thing we do know publicly, right? There's been a lot of losses. So if you're looking at tons of losses, lifestyle that continues, you're president of the United States. What does that open the door to?
So it's the very question that you posed to Manu about why the American public generally wants to know what their candidates for president, their financial situations and their tax returns, to see if there might be conflicts of interest that could have influenced the way in which they govern.
Right.
And in fact, I think one of the things that will be key here is there's a federal crime for denial of honest services if a public official took official acts in exchange for personal benefits. So the personal benefits might be, is he leveraged out to foreign lenders? Does he get better lending or loan agreements with these foreign lenders over time, while he might be taking actions that could influence the relationship with those foreign lenders? Those are the kinds of questions that the American public would always want to know from a president. Now the tax returns will potentially reveal that kind of embarrassing information, if not illegal.
Marty and Ryan, please stay with me. I hope Manu is still with us as well, because I want to go now for his first interview since his committee's meeting and vote today to Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett. And Congressman, I appreciate your time. You and I have talked about this over the past couple of months, and here we are. You've spent hours behind closed doors. You've just come out from the vote. Can you first explain to me exactly what you all are voting to do? Are we going to see a summary of some sort, or are we going to see all of the tax returns?
Both, but for a limited period. Yes, Aaron, we've been at it for about the last 3.5 hours, discussing all aspects of this. Now there will be a report to the House prepared by Chairman Neal and his staff, a very thorough report. It includes a number of attachments. It includes additional analysis from the Joint Tax Committee, and it will also include some Trump tax returns.
And is we're going to get sort of one thing, an executive summary, attachments, and some of the tax returns. That's going to be it. We're not also going to get all the tax returns, just to be very clear here.
You will get all of the tax returns that the Supreme Court and the lower courts said that Mr. Neal's request could get. You will get all of those. That may be delayed for a few days only to permit time to redact things like Social Security numbers, personal ID numbers, that type of thing. But you will get the complete Trump tax returns, such as they are, for the years that Mr. Neal requested.
Okay, so that's 2015 through 2020, just to be clear, yeah?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think what I find surprising, our focus had been on the IRS audit and whether it was being done properly, is the IRS did no audits at all until such time as the day they received Mr. Neal's request for these documents, and that day they requested the first audit. They have yet to complete a single audit of Mr. Trump, and I think they'll also be surprised by what's not there with the tax returns, and that is supporting data. Any taxpayer who goes in for audit has to produce some receipts and some affidavits and some substantiation, and that just seems to be missing from what we've been provided.
So in that context, just to be clear, is your understanding, you're saying that they didn't begin the audit until the request came in? Then they
The
began
same
it.
day,
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
the same day. It sounds like what you're saying, I don't want to jump to a conclusion, so I want to make sure I'm right. That they then requested, they had questions about various things and then reached out to Trump to ask those questions. And that Trump did not respond with the backup data to make his case for why he did what he did?
I think you will see tens of millions of dollars in these returns that were claimed without adequate substantiation. The extent to which the IRS made an effort to get that substantiation, I invite you to look at the reports. But I think you'll be surprised by how little there is, and I have my doubts that another taxpayer could go in to audit and provide as little as was provided here and expect to have a completed audit.